Hi, and welcome back to Politodoxy. I'm your host, Aaron Friedman. Today I have the pleasure and honor to have here one of our great people who does a lot of good work on the field, protecting children, fighting against these pedophiles, and that is Alex Rosen. And Alex, first, above all else, I salute you. You do a wonderful job. And there has been, some nasty people going after you on Twitter. We'll get into that. And not only from foreign nationals, even here in the United States, two brothers also go into those two creeps. They have some weird things to say. I've been looking at what they're doing. I'm like, holy crap. Anyway, we'll get into that. So, Alex, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on. It's an honor, and hope you're doing well too.
Yes, it is. And yes, I am doing very well. So first of all, let's start off from those who don't know what you're doing. You guys, you should pay attention to this guy because this is where it's at. When it comes to fighting children, you look at, okay, some kind of bill that's going to protect children. I'm not attacking any legislation, but you want to know who's actually on the field. Look at this guy, and there's certain others. I'm sure you will give them a shout out for other people because you have a lot of inspiration that I've heard from other people that you have learned from. So we'll get into that as well. So first, I would like for you to introduce yourself on your own terms, go into a little bit into how this all started out.
All right. Well, my name is Alex Rosen. We have a group called Predator Poachers where we catch online child predators across the country. I'm 24 years old, been doing this since I was 19 years old, and we're based out of Houston, Texas, and we've, over the course of 5 years, have caught hundreds of pedos. We have arrests in 46 different states, convictions in 40. And the way we mainly do that is by posing as a minor online, and predators from across the country message us and in hopes to go meet that minor for something sexual. And or we have other ways too, but that's the most conventional way, I'd say.
All right, that's awesome. So you started out young. I mean, 19 years old, right? That's when you started out, and now you're 24. I mean, you're a young guy. You do a lot of good work that fast. I mean, this is something that if you are young and you're looking at a job, I mean, this is something that, I mean, I don't know if it pays well or not. The point is that if you want to like do something, young people have a lot of revolutionary blood. They want to do something. They don't want to become a drone in some mindless corporation. They want to do something. This is something that you can do. So if you feel intrigued by this, I'm sure that if anybody wants to reach out to you, you'll be able to help them as other people have done with you. So tell me about when you first started out doing this. When did you? What was the motivation? What got you into this in the first place?
Well, I've always wanted to be a police officer growing up, since I was a young kid. And I couldn't be a police officer in Houston until I was 21. At least back then, you had to be 21 to graduate the academy. And going into my second year of college, I had 3 weeks off because I played college football for my first year. We had 3 weeks off going into summer where I totally just disregarded whatever schedule I was supposed to have. And I started to stay up late, get into these types of videos online, like the Chris Hansen. And what really struck a chord in me, though, was just how many of these videos there were. Like, it wasn't just Chris Hansen. It was these Canadian creep catchers, Justin Payne, Pop Squad, all these people, just seemingly random civilians just doing this. I'm like, how easy is it to go catch a pedo? So that made me want to, see what this is about. Like, or is it really this common? Because luckily I didn't have any pedophilia in my family, but, I've always wanted to go catch the bad guys. And I'm like, what better way to try? And I made a fake account of a 15-year-old boy, and he, within 30 minutes, somebody wanted to go have sex with this said 15-year-old boy. And then from there...
30 minutes. 30 minutes in and boom, wow.
Easily.
That's fast. Holy.
Right. And this wasn't me like being an expert on any of this stuff. This was me just like, I'm going to say I'm 15 and see what happens. And then, dude, yeah, 30 minutes. Finding them is the easy part. That's for sure.
And so that means they're not that particularly smart when it comes to it. If it's that fast, I mean, that means they're not that smart.
There are definitely
or
some
desperate.
That we've come across that are... There's definitely some that we've come across that are very desperate and just ready to go in a second. And then there's others who it takes years to find out who they even are. So yeah, it's a wide array of them, I'd say.
So you started with creating a first Twitter account, was it? What was it?
No, this was an account on the dating app Grindr. It's a gay dating app.
And within just like that, 30 minutes in, and how did that turn out?
Well, so my first years just doing this in Houston, I was a pretty immature kid, and I would say I didn't do the best job of it. So the very first time, I mean, he showed up in a parking lot. I didn't even go approach him. I just went up to his car and like filmed his license plate and ran away. But obviously, as the years went on, we got better at doing this and knowing what it takes to get them arrested. So the first time it was very sloppy, I'd say.
Well, as usually these things go, did it lead up to anything, or did it like flat? Did nothing happen?
No, so our times doing this in Houston, like in 2019, 2020, our goal more was like to just expose them and just to shame them. And, it took that time to realize that, wait a minute, just doing that isn't really going to stop them from hurting kids. Like none of these pedos are going to actually learn their lesson if we're doing it like that. So we took a more, as we got older too, right? We took a more, more careful approach to it. We started getting their confessions on camera so our videos can be used as evidence to help them get prosecuted, and started to do this more the right way, like posing as younger ages, catching I think a lot sicker people than we did when we first started out. So I think we have a pretty good operation now. Still a very long way to go, but I like where we are right now.
Excellent. So you are, and as I understand it, you got proficient at this around 2020. That's when you guys had more of a real organized method of getting these creeps, right?
Yes, late 2020 is when we jumped off of kind of dating apps more to platforms, because on dating apps, yeah, you're going to pull the occasional like big fish who's like looking for children. Like I'd say we had a guy, Mark Mallow, actually our longest sentence ever, 131 years. He got convicted in February. We found him on a dating app. He was going after who he thought was a 14-year-old boy, and he happened to be a teacher who was out on bond already for child pornography. So we caught him for a sec. We caught him the second time. The cops got him the first time, but we caught him the second time. And he admits to us that, this was off Grinder. He admits that he sent his dick pic to who he thought was a 14-year-old boy. He admits to us that he's possessing child pornography as young as babies and toddlers. And
Wait,
yeah.
babies?
Oh,
Babies.
very common for it
Is
to be
that
like that.
wait? It's common because
Oh, yeah.
when I think of the of the pedophile, I normally think of somebody who is into 6-year-olds or up until 14-year-olds. That's like the age range that I would think of the daily of any given pedophile average. So do you think the average isn't even that?
I'd say that's still the average, but it's not an outlier for there to be people into like babies and toddlers. But I'd say the age range you gave is probably the average, but it's all common though.
Wow. And um, and according to your experience, would you say? But what would you say about this? Is this more or less what you get that you get acquainted with, unfortunately, on the field, or is that more of an outlier thing?
Like what do you mean?
When you got in your personal experience, regardless of whatever the statistics would say, in your personal experience, actually on the field, what do you usually get? People who are actually like that far into childhood, or is it more like 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds? That
No.
variety.
Easily at this point, I would say close to half of the people we've caught, if not more, have seen pornography as young as babies and are into that. I mean, we just had a guy a week ago, or well, I guess 2 weeks ago at this point, Harry Phillips in League City, Texas. 30 minutes from my house. Like it was, we don't usually do caches close to my home, but he just happened to be close. 30 minutes from my house. He was 21 years old, and the youngest ones are usually the sickest ones because they have access to all this types of pornography. They know how to use technology, and they're a lot more cunning than, the old man. Um, when we caught him, he admitted to me that he molested a 1 and a 2-year-old when he was babysitting a couple of years ago. So, his preference was absolutely babies by far, and he was definitely one of the sickest people we've caught. So, yeah, that's a pretty common thing we see. Yeah, for
And
sure.
did he suffer any punishment, or what's the story over there?
Yeah, so he got a the whole premise of us approaching him that day, he was going after who he thought was a 12-year-old girl that we were posing as, and he admits to sexual intent with that. All the messages were there too. My decoy did a tremendous job. By decoy, I mean the person posing as the kid. So he got arrested so far just based on meeting who he thought was our fake minor for sex, but they're looking into, of course, the allegations of him molesting those kids while he was babysitting, and then also the child pornography he said that he viewed. So hopefully those will come very soon.
And also when it comes to this, I would like to know: do the vast majority of these people possess child pornography, or is it, or are they like more careful with it, knowing that that is easy to catch, so they go explicitly after live children?
Well, I'd say the vast majority of them have viewed child pornography. As for possessing it, it's maybe like a little bit under 50%. But yeah, like we had a guy, Holden Briggs in Virginia, that we caught in August. Psycho, he told me he goes on the dark web and views child pornography, all this type of stuff, but he claims he doesn't save it. So, it's to be seen whether they're going to recover that from his devices, because he got arrested for texting our fake decoy. But yeah, tons of people view it without possessing, and sometimes they can recover it, sometimes not. So yeah.
Yeah, I am sure that he doesn't save it. Right. He does not save it. I'm pretty sure that
No.
we could trust, listen, he's doing all these terrible things, but I'm sure we could trust him on this one, right? Anyway,
Right.
so these are the types of people that we're dealing with, and they think that they're going to be able to say that, no, listen, I do the terrible, yes, I'm a terrible person, but I will never possess it, right? Listen, I'm a villain, but not a monster, right? This is basically,
exactly.
Look, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying maybe it's possible, but I wouldn't trust these guys even for a second. So you are going after these guys on the field, seeing what's actually going on. Does it ever get violent with, I know that one place it did get violent, not towards you, thank God, it got violent towards himself, and that's actually when he got arrested. This is just a recent story, right? So tell us a little bit about that, and tell us also about if you get attacked, and what is the violence, the ratio for violence on themselves, because when they get caught, there's a high probability that they might just commit suicide.
Sure. Well, luckily, I've never been physically attacked by a pedo. We've had a few guns pulled on us. I think this year only one was pulled on us, and then the story that you're referring to, we caught a guy, Donald Letcher, or Anthony Donald Letcher, whatever his name is. His last name's Letcher, in Epiphany, South Dakota, which is in Hanson County. Ironically enough, Hanson County. And we approached him. He admitted to child pornography as young as babies and toddlers, and there was a big backstory with him that we didn't find out till after the bust. But anyway, the cops show up, and when the cop has his back turned, he slips inside the house and he ends up blowing his brains out with his rifle. And the
Nothing
reason I
of
think
value was lost. Nothing of
no,
value was
absolutely
lost.
not.
Right.
No, a lot of
No,
taxpayer money was saved that day.
I want to add something here that, only thing that I think it's a shame that we didn't send them to prison and let the prisoners do whatever they think. The prisoners usually don't take too kindly to these kinds of people. So I'm like, it's a shame that he wasn't sent to prison, to let the prisoners do whatever they will. But, no value was lost. Continue.
Right. I mean, yeah, the downside is he went out on his own terms, but on the other hand, no more kids are going to be victimized for sure. The taxpayers aren't going to be fucking screwed in the ass either, taking care of that fucking loser. So there's no perfect solution as a resolution to any of this, but I think it was the best one. And the reason
I do think there is a perfect solution to this, and I know a lot of people say we should kill them, and I'm like, I'm sympathetic. Absolutely, I would love that. But here's my problem. I have just one problem with this, and it's a practical problem. That if you kill them and you give them the death penalty, what happens is that there is no increase. That there is an increase that they might just kill the child afterward because there's no increase in punishment because. They know they're going to die anyway if they get caught, so might as well just get rid of the evidence. So if you back that up and you say that, no, we're not going to kill you, we're going to throw you in prison, they might just let the child live. So it's a practical reason for why we shouldn't kill them, although I would love to. So I think the perfect punishment would be throw them in prison and say to the prisoners, this guy's in for you know what, and to have the guards turn their back, and whatever happens, happens. We're not gonna do anything about it. I think that's the perfect way. They die anyway in prison, gruesome deaths because they freaking deserve it, and we don't kill them because we're technically sending them to prison. I think that's like the best. That is the best thing I could have came up with.
I wish it was still that way in a lot of states, but even in Texas, where I'm from, and you just think Texas, like, oh, hardcore. Dude, they have protective custody of the pedos in Texas. They're separated, and then obviously states like Oregon, Washington, all these states, New York for sure. They're separated away from all the other people. So I don't know. There's always a pro and con to all these scenarios here, but yeah, the thing with Donald Lesher is he actually got convicted in 1996 of molesting a 9-year-old, and that got thrown out by the South Dakota Supreme Court because of some prosecutorial error. Like, he did not do it. It was like some little simple mistake. So he got the whole thing thrown out. So this guy should have been a sex offender for the past 28 years. and he just wasn't. So who knows what he did in those 28 years? And then 2 years ago, he ran over a 6-year-old girl while drunk driving. Didn't kill her, luckily, but ran her over and got 30 days in prison or 30 days in jail for it. So I mean, South Dakota had their chance to hold him accountable, but now it's God's turn. So
So let me get to the first part of the question. So what is the ratio for it getting violent?
yeah, very very few. Luckily, thank God.
Okay, that is good. Do you conceal carry by any chance? If you don't want to answer that, just keep it to yourself. Just say you don't want to answer that. But
Yeah, no,
do you have protection?
I personally do not conceal carry, but I cannot speak for my camera guys and friends with me. So
Perfect. Okay, let's keep it at that. I think that's the best course of action. So,
yeah,
and if you're lying right now, I don't blame you. Just keep it that way. It's better that way anyway. So um also I would also in the second part of the question I would also like to know do you have can you tell us some stories of when else it did get no wait before you do I would also like to know with what's his name Ledger what's his name
Letcher.
Ledger. So in that case you got arrested, so why did they arrest you for that?
Well, luckily, so we just got detained, which made for an awesome Twitter clip. But so the reason they detained us is because they didn't want us leaving the scene at all, even though we weren't going to leave the scene. I mean, what the fuck? But they wanted to still interview us and all. Like they Mirandized us and everything because they didn't see the video yet of us just calmly talking to him. So who knows what we could have done, right? But yeah, they just handcuffed us until the detectives got there just to make sure we don't leave. But they took them off after. But dude, it was such an iconic photo we got. So I'm glad they handcuffed us.
Yeah, you put it up there on your Twitter,
Yeah, yeah,
whatever the banner, whatever it's called. Yeah.
yeah.
So and everybody was outraged. Basically, I was seeing my entire Twitter feed. Everybody was upset about this. They were like, "Let him go, let him go." I was like, "Hell yeah!" I think I retweeted that. So I was like, "Dude, cops, you got the wrong guy. You should be getting the other guy who's dying in there. You should get him."
Right.
But anyway, so I would also like to know about if you ever get in contact with, attorneys general in any of the individual states. Did any of them ever contact you to say, "Hey, by the way, how about we work with you"?
No, so technically that can't really happen because we can't be agents of the state. Like we can't act on the state's behalf. So that's why we have to do it like where we just kind of do our thing, then hand over what we have as evidence to the state. Now, what we can do and what we do in some places is we just give a heads up to like the detective or to the PDs. We're like, hey, we're here, we're doing this, just so you know, expect a call. But that's as far as it can go.
Okay, and are they cooperative? What's the ratio for them cooperating? Because if you're going to be in California, there's some chance that they might not cooperate. So are they generally more cooperative with you? I know in Montana, you had one story in Montana that they were very uncooperative. So as I recall, correct me if I'm wrong. So are they more cooperative or are they, uncooperative?
For the most part, most PDs are very cooperative with us. Like we have a good relationship with a lot of PDs, and I have detectives' numbers from across the country, and I'd say I'm acquaintances with them for sure. But there's a few that aren't. Like some, like Great Falls, Montana, doesn't show up to any of our calls, and they claim they can't do anything about what we do, which is total crap. They absolutely can. I mean, Montana statute's pretty blatant with if you're traveling to have sex with who you believe to be a minor. Um, that's prosecutable. Who you believe to be a minor, that isn't like a law enforcement officer posing as a minor or a real kid. Who you believe to be a minor, and we've posed as who they believe to be a minor 3 times, and none of them have been arrested in Great Falls, Montana. But then you got states like places like Huntsville, Alabama, where we have like fucking 7 or 8 arrests there in that city alone. Amarillo, Texas, where we have like 5 arrests, I think, alone. So I mean, there's a lot of good places and a few bad ones, I'd say.
And which state have you caught the most of these creeps?
Well, definitely Texas because that's where I'm from. But I'd say number 2 would be. Oh man, we go to Ohio a lot. We go to Ohio just for whatever reason has the most people hitting us up. For I have no idea. I can't explain why. They just do.
Who would have thought Ohio? I mean, maybe the Gen Z and Gen Alpha, maybe they're onto something when they say that Ohio is bad. I don't know. It's the, how they say Ohio. I don't know. I still don't get the language. I have no idea. All I know is for some reason Ohio is bad. So I don't know. Maybe they have something going on there.
Yeah, who would have thought a state full of cornfields and crackheads would have a lot of pedos? Never, right?
That's kind of weird, but let me get into I think we've discussed this very well, and for anybody watching, please like, share, subscribe. Do all the stuff because we need help. But let me go to your recent declaring war on the entire state of India. So, what is the story behind that? Because I've been seeing these I see you're getting ready for this because I've seen these crazies like saying they would rape you, they would rape I don't know who other people they've been talking about. So, how did all of this start?
Okay, so have you seen the account Barry Stanton on Twitter? He's suspended now.
Yes. Right,
Okay.
yeah, I've seen it.
I'm a Jew, you're a Jew. I find his shit hilarious. I don't care that he says fuck Jews. I don't care that he says fuck niggers. I don't care about any of that stuff. I think it's fucking funny. And
listen, dude, listen. I'm a comedy absolutist. I think that anybody should make whatever freaking joke they want.
Absolutely.
I'm a comedy absolutist. So when it comes to these things, I'm like, I don't care. You know what the funny thing is? I really like dark comedy, and I love self-deprecation, and I love all of these things. So I constantly go into fights with the Groypers online, and I'm like, you can't win with me because most of your jokes are so outdated, so lame, and I'm like, it doesn't affect me. And the ones that are actually hurtful, I like because they're funny. So like, you can't win. I can't explain to these guys, but it's so funny. I try to explain. You can't win with me. I can dish it out, but you can't get me because it's so freaking funny. Anyway, so yeah, I see what Barry, whatever he posts, it's funny. And sometimes the things that he posts is funny.
It's hilarious. And he made a lot of memes about Indians, like them on poop helicopters and them on poop jetpacks. And I just found it freaking hilarious. So anyway, these Indians have these Telegram groups of child pornography, which is another topic with these fucking people. But
we'll get into that.
They had other Telegram groups where they just put Barry's posts in the groups, mass reported him. And that didn't sit right with me at all because, like you said, I'm a comedy absolutist too, free speech absolutist. Say what you got to say. I mean, I don't get offended at it. And, so being that the whole nation of India hated Barry, I decided to go to a bunch of convenience stores in Houston, where I'm from, and basically make a petition saying, bring Barry Stanton back. And, all these Indians at the gas, they don't know who Barry Stanton is. They're not on Twitter, So I had them sign the petition to bring Barry back. I was like, Barry's a great guy for Indians and all this. And, so they get duped into signing this petition to bring back this guy who hates Indians back on Twitter. So that pissed them off. And so that's how it started. Then the death threats came in, like saying, I'm going to rape your mom. I'm going to rape your daughter. I don't even have kids yet, but I'm going to rape this. I'm going to rape that. So I'm like, all right, cool. So then I made a video. Dude, they think I actually use my mom's house. They're fucking retarded. I found a house for sale that I just chose to do it on. But I made a video basically saying I'm making an anti-Indian force field around the house. And I just put like toilet paper in the front lawn. And dude, it got like 5.4 million views and it was great. So that's how it all started.
You declare, I just love it. You declared war on the entire. Is there not anybody, one guy in India who's like, actually, that's kind of funny? Is there not one guy?
Yeah, we post the negative DMs because that's what gets the most engagement on Twitter. But people don't forget that there are people of all races who don't care, don't get offended. So yeah, we've had quite a few not as many as rape ones that say they're going to rape us, sadly, but we've had a few Indians from India DM me saying, hey, our country needs to get it together, or hey, I thought it was funny, and I respond to them saying, hey, I appreciate you, man. But yeah, we've had DMs with that.
So we at least we have some good guys, but yeah, it's Definitely. So freaking weird. Like imagine reacting to seeing somebody say something very offensive, that we poop in the streets and we bathe in poop, and therefore we are gonna rape your mother, daughter, whatever. I'm like, dude, you can dish it out. By the way, it's not that you're saying you can't offend me. It's not like you're saying I want you shut down because you shouldn't be able to say. No, these Indians could say, hey, you look like an effing retard. They could say these things, but once you get into rape, that's not offensive. That is demented. That is something that it goes beyond just trying to offend somebody. It's not like you're saying you can't offend me. You're not allowed to. You're like, dish it out. Let's have some fun. And they're going, no, we're not going to have some fun. We're going to rape your kids. Like, dude, the F?
Right. And it's these little dick Pajit saying this. So, I mean, whatever. I mean, I think it's funny because they're so like frail. They just have like limp wrists. They're in their little pot bellies. That's fine. They can say whatever they want about that. But it goes to show you they're not joking when they say that. I take it as a joke, but they're not joking. I mean, they truly are vile people, dude. It's really fucked up.
And what do you think? Do you think that most of them live in India, or do you think that some of them might actually, live around here and they might actually try something?
Oh, well, they're not going to try shit. I can assure you that. But most of them were from India, and there were a few British people DMing me that too, aka fucking third world immigrants, saying that stupid shit.
Yeah, this is by the way, this is the reason why we should stop bringing these guys in. We should. I mean, if you have this
Yeah.
culture that I was talking with my brother, by the way, about this, and I don't remember exactly what the discussion was, but it had something to do with rape culture in India. You know, Ann Coulter wrote an amazing book, Adios America, and she discusses that the frat boys are rapey. No. You want to talk about the rapists? They're actually located in Mexico, India, and the Middle East. You want to talk about rape cultures? These cultures harbor and cultivate rape cultures. But here in the United States, we don't traditionally have that. But what you have here, what you're gonna have right here, right now, is when you're gonna bring in these illegal aliens. You're going to bring in people who actually do believe in rape. So when I was talking with my brother about this, he told me this, that in India, they have certain movies that they glorify rape. It's not just just rape cultures within the fringe, and there are a lot of them. No, it's actually more of a mainstream thing. It's not just in the
Oh,
fringes. It's mainstream. I was like, holy
absolutely.
crap, is this mainstream?
No, dude, I mean, look, I became an expert on India just within the past 7 days, so I can tell you anything about India that you need to know. But, dude, yeah, I mean, you look at these videos of these white females going over to India, these white blondes, and dude, just these Indians swarm them, take selfies, start groping them. Dude, it is disgusting. And I can tell you online, obviously, we don't catch a lot of Indians because the Indians messaging us are from India, but dude, there's so many of these Indians just fucking into underage kids online. Like you go to the comment section and dude, type this in yourself if you want to. Just type in like young gymnastics on Instagram. You know, some little kid will pop up doing gymnastics, and dude, the comment section will be Indian, 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 Indian. You know, just fucking like, what business do you have looking at an underage kid doing gymnastics unless you're her relative, right? But yeah, then the child porn groups that we catch people in, like if these people are in child porn groups, like on Telegram, whatever app, dude, majority of it's coming from India, dude. Like it is such a fucked up country.
This is why we need to close these freaking borders. We need to close these borders
I agree.
immediately and have a moratorium and deport all the illegals. It's very simple.
I
I just
agree.
love it I love when the left wing comes and say that, what about the poor from third world countries? I'm like, dude, you are so upset about rape culture. Dude, you are importing it. And like,
Right?
I feel for innocent people in those third world countries. We cannot have everybody, and we need to stay as so-called as a beacon. I'm like, I don't really care for that, but we should stay as a beacon for the rest of the world on how to model themselves. And by letting in the third world, I mean, dude, like, we have enough. How about this? We have enough child rapists and molesters and all the other things here. We have enough of them. We don't need more. So,
Right.
yeah, it pisses me off, and it boggles my mind how people could be this stupid and this retarded. Like, I know this is a little bit off topic, but I'll tell you this much. When it comes to Democrats, it comes to liberals and those alike, I'm like, they do not know why they're going to be voting for Kamala Harris. None of them know why they're voting for Kamala Harris. In the past, people who were voting for serial rapist Bill Clinton, they can tell you why they were voting for Bill Clinton. Well,
Right.
he's more of a moderate, and before Monica Lewinsky, but all the other things, they knew why they were voting for them. People were voting JFK. They knew why they were voting JFK. People who were voting for Obama, they knew why they were voting for Obama. Nobody could tell you why they're voting for Kamala. And the same goes for the Junior, for RFK Jr. The Democrats who left the Democrat Party and wanted to vote for RFK, they know why they're voting RFK. The Kamala voters are the most retarded voters I've seen in my entire life. You ask them a question, they have no idea. They have freaking no idea. I'm like, dude, it doesn't bother me that you're voting for Kamala per se, although you should be voting Trump. It doesn't really bother me. But it's your choice. I'm not going to force you. Can you tell me why? They can't tell you. So this is one of the problems why you're having these kinds of things happen in the United States with the rape culture, illegal aliens coming in, because they have no idea. They're just like, oh, it's the right thing to do. Why? They can't even tell you why.
No, I agree. Like, I can absolutely see why people would want to vote for Trump. Like, I'm not voting in this election because Trump, with the vaccine, I just, sorry, I got to back out of that. I'm just very anti-vaccine.
Well, you have
And,
a reason. You see, you have a reason. You know
right,
why you're going to do.
right.
That's all I'm asking. Tell me why you're going to do that. Can you formulate a coherent argument for why you're going to do one thing or the other? They can't. They absolutely can't. This is what pisses me off.
No, I agree. Like, I can see why people want to vote for Trump because they see the borders wide open. They see all the benefits illegals get. So they want to vote for the guy who says he's going to stop it. I don't necessarily believe that he's going to stop it. I mean, I think he's more of a sayer than a doer when it comes to politics, sadly. But you know, I can see the reasons. Obviously, the economy was better under Trump. That's just obvious. His peace deals that he made in the Middle East, that's great. So I can see why people want to vote for him. And if I had a gun to my head and I had to choose either one to make the country better, I would choose him. Or I shouldn't say he's going to make the country better. He's just going to stop it from getting worse faster than Kamala is, I should say. But
Bring back Ron Paul. That basically just bring back Ron Paul. I'm pretty sure if Ron Paul was running, you would be voting, right? Yeah, right. Because by the way, he's the only guy that actually went against the Fed. You're right. I mean, that wins any election. I mean, that wins my vote any day of the week. If you go against the Fed, the most evil people I've ever seen in my entire life, the true fascists, the true evil people, usury and all that stuff, I'm like, yeah, you win my vote tenfold, but in my opinion, the illegal alien stuff, that is the most important thing in this election cycle. Anyway, we're getting off track here. Let's switch up the topic here, and not too much because let's get to something else with the Krassensteins, because they, for some reason, I don't know what the hell these two creeps were. At first I thought they were just two retarded liberals. The internet is a big place. So I'm like, okay, they have 500,000 followers, 700,000 followers, the other one. So I'm like, okay, two retarded liberals, much like Harry says. Okay, you know what? Fine. It doesn't really bother me that they're on the internet. But then I started to hear that I see they are fighting with you, fighting with other people. And then I hear them say very, very creepy stuff about looking up child porn. Teen porn on the internet.
Yeah,
so they're like, and I was like, wait, why do you know that? Why the hell do you know that? He was like, you can look up teen porn here and you'll find it. And I'm like, why do you know that? How did you, like, it doesn't drop in my mind, hey, maybe I should look up teen porn on Twitter. Like, dude, what? So you knowing that tells me a lot. So get into that. First of all, how did this fight? What is your opinion on these two creeps?
Well, I'll just say, like, for us to find the pedos, I brought up Young Gymnastics earlier, and that shows like Little Girls Doing Gymnastics. And we go to the comment sections, we go to see who likes the photos, and we're like, all right, this guy is an American liking it. We're gonna go ahead and give him a follow as our underage kid. But never do we have to even see nudity of teens or children at all. There's no need to see, for even on our end when we're looking for creeps. There's no need to see any nudity at all. So like, so it just makes what they're doing even weirder. So yeah, the Krassensteins are these two Justin Bieber fans, and the reason I say that is because they started off their accounts like Justin Bieber fan pages as like 30-year-old men, and they just kind of show the typical Democrat talking points. Like they're not like so far left, like, abolish the cops or prisons or anything. They're just typical, like what you would hear from Joe Biden. I mean, just basically literal media talking points. And they're very unself-aware. They make themselves kind of look like retards, like you said. And
they are. No, but they literally are retarded. It's not that they make themselves look like retards. They are retarded.
Yeah, like I tend to think that, like our politicians that we have in office, like Congress, they're not retarded. They're just beholden to fucking this other shit. Like they're beholden to either Israel, China,
they're not
whatever.
Retarded, but they're evil. They're not retarded, but they're evil.
They're evil. Right.
Most of them. Some of them are good, but most of them.
Right. Like, I mean, someone like AOC is, I think, genuinely retarded. Like, she doesn't need to be bought and sold because she's just going with it anyway. You know what I mean? But, But yeah, no. But I think the Krassensteins are genuinely, like, they're not stupid in some ways. Like, they're obviously smart enough to make money, right? But they're genuinely, like, they don't have a lot of social awareness of shit. And when they do shit like buy porn domains, they think they can, like, they're above average intelligence, but they think they're geniuses. Like, they think they can gaslight people into thinking that 17 only girls has nothing to do with porn. And then when you call that out, I'm like, Brian, 17 only girls absolutely has to do with porn. And he's like, why would you think that? That makes you weird. I'm like, dude, okay. That's like saying you have a website called like 12 Dicks and you think it's about penises, but you're like, no, it's about guys named Richard. Why would you think that? Like, okay, Brian, shut the fuck up, you fucking faggot.
Unironically, that would be pretty funny. That would be actually pretty funny. But yeah, I get your point. Obviously, like, they're trying. So what they're doing here is they're trying, first of all, gaslighting you, but then acting as if, no, this is totally fine. This is good. Like, dude, you're making it only sound even more. It's not. You know what? At this point, it may just not be that you're retarded. Maybe you're retarded for thinking that I am that retarded to believe you. But it's not, and maybe you're not that retarded, more as that you're evil, that you think that it's okay to just, buy in such a domain
Right.
and to have everybody think that's fine. And then your true intentions are, you just want 17-year-olds in your DMs, I guess.
Dude, exactly. And like, bro, and that Simon Goddick dude, the doctor, he went back on Wayback Machine and typed in 17 only girls, and it turned out it was a porn site. Of course it was a porn site. So yeah, they lie about a lot of shit, and they get ratioed. To be fair, they do get ratioed a lot, so people are awake
Good.
to what they say. But yeah, they're very insufferable, and they're also like 5'2". So
Yeah, you know the meme they are so small. They took a picture with Kennedy Jr. and they
yeah,
made it
yeah,
small. So I posted saying that every time people repost this meme, they get smaller and smaller.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I love that one. So yeah, these guys are absolute complete creeps. I'm like, they use their Judaism, so-called the Jewishness, as a somewhat of a shield. I think I've seen them mention it too many sometimes. That don't forget that I'm Jewish as well. I'm like, dude, first of all, you're not doing the community any help with this, and I promise you,
Right.
the community would throw you the hell out where I come from. If those two were walking to the community and people knew what they were about, they would get stoned to death, and not the good kind of stoned. I mean the other
Yeah.
one kind of stoned.
Dude,
And you
it's
know what? You know
insane.
what? I'd say if they actually are, these types of people who like to watch the, children, I'm like, you know what? Maybe you freaking deserve it.
Right, dude, and we need more Jews like us that are willing to call out the shit
Yeah.
because people like Krassensteins give, and they give themselves a bad rap. But I have nothing to do with them. But dude, it's easy to like when people say like, oh my god, the Jews run the porn industry. Okay, first of all, how can you even refute that? It's just true. Like it is
Yes.
true. But
Yeah.
we got to
Technically,
speak out against
it's
the porn
true.
industry. Like we got to speak out against that shit. Like I'm a Jew that hates the
Yes.
porn industry, and I would destroy the porn industry if I had executive order. One of the first things I would do is just ban pornography. Fuck pornography.
Boom.
But
Yes.
then you got people like Krassenstein who are just like, well, they're porn domain. Like, just fuck these people, dude. They just do so much damage to us. And the ADL's the same way too. Like, I would get rid of the
Yeah.
ADL, get rid of the Krassenstein. Like, we don't need
Exactly.
that shit. Fuck that.
Exactly. Yeah, and you know what? I have the same question. Why the hell does a so-called rabbi own Pornhub? I'm like, what the effing hell is this? Like, what does it take to go be ordained as a rabbi? Like, dude, can I become a rabbi? Like, what the hell even is this? I am as
Right.
confused as everybody else. What bothers me though is they say, okay, because they're Jewish. I'm like, it's not because they're Jewish that they're doing
Not at
these
all.
kinds of things. It has nothing to do with that. And furthermore, he calls himself a rabbi. I'm like, what makes him a rabbi? He was ordained. Okay, so what does that entail? Because this guy is definitely not keeping the Shabbos. This guy is definitely not doing any of the things of
Not moral
Judaism.
at all.
What makes him Jewish? Absolutely nothing. And by the way, it's not just he owns it. He owns a subsidiary. It's a subsidiary, something like that. So it's not by him directly, but that's just like coping, like trying to say that, oh, it's not technically not. I'm like, I don't really care. I
Still
just
owns a
don't want.
porn
I don't
company,
want
yeah.
rabbis owning Pornhub. I don't
Yes,
care however he
exactly,
does it.
exactly,
I just don't want
exactly.
rabbis owning Pornhub. Hell, I
Absolutely.
don't want Pornhub. I want to ban it. I want to restrict it completely wherever it takes. And you know what? This is why we need states like Texas and other states of conservative states which they've already done. I think in Alabama they've said that you need an ID, and Pornhub was like, we're boycotting you. I'm like, goodbye, have some fun.
Right,
Good.
right,
Boycott
right.
us. Yes, I love this because why? Because we need an ID so we know that children are safe from this. Wait a minute. So you're saying that you're gonna boycott us because we're saying that you need an ID. You have exposed yourself completely because we know that actually children do access the sites, and there are children on your sites. We know exactly what's up. So this is they give away the entire game here. So this is the actual thing here. So I want to go back to the Krassensteins because what did they do in response? So you go at them hard. What did they do in response to you?
Well, luckily they didn't threaten to sue me. I mean, because I wasn't the one making, I guess, the post about it. It was more like reposting the stuff about the domains because I just like to troll them and make funny videos about them. But Simon
Obviously,
did a
yeah.
freaking shit ton of good research. So they threatened Simon Godek with a cease and desist letter for posting objectively true statements. And dude, the cease and desist was a Twitter DM, and they look so stupid doing it. So they claim they were going to take him to court. I don't think they are going to take him to court at all. I just think it's a total bluff. But
I'm like, do it. I can't wait till discovery. Do it.
Right, exactly.
Do it. Okay, so this is, by the way, I think this is the best way of determining if they're evil or if they're retarded. If they take him to if they take him to court, then they are they are retarded because discovery. But if they don't, then we know they're evil because then they're thinking ahead of this. So this is how we can actually know the difference.
Yeah, it's a good litmus test. Yeah, it's a good litmus test.
And by the way, one of them follows me. And I'm like, okay. And by the way, before I would like just to mention this because I'm pretty sure if they see this and then they're going to try to expose me because they know I'm following it. So I DM'd them. And this is before anything. I didn't do anything. I just thought they were two liberals. They went up in one of the Twitter spaces against one of the Jew haters. So I tried to DM him some information about the Jew hater. And so I'm pretty sure that they would probably take that DM and say, you see, you actually tried to be friends with us, which I never actually did. But just covering my bases here to make sure that people understand that this is before anything of these things, before I knew anything. I was like, here's some information that you could use against it, which, by the way, they never used. They really should start looking at their DMs. Maybe they might have a rude awakening, I would say. So you have now an alliance, I would say an unholy alliance between the Indians and the Krassensteins.
Yeah.
What do you find do you find them to anything like similar between the two, or is this just like two separate things?
Well, both the Krassensteins and the Indians are both low testosterone, 5'2", and like pornography, and probably have small dicks. So I would say that's probably the similarities between them. But as for, I'd say that the Pajits are a little bit more open about their rape fantasies. I don't know if the Krassensteins have expressed anything like that yet, but definitely an alliance. Like all those accounts you see of like, oh yes, buddy, India and Israel together. That's definitely the Krassensteins in them. So
hilarious. And by the way, what do you make of that? The Indian and Israel thing. I'm like, I don't freaking care for Israel. By the way, just for those who think, oh, it's a Zionist. I'm anti-Zionist, religiously speaking. I'm a religious anti-Zionist. Doesn't mean I want Hamas, but that's an issue for a different day. I'm like a religious anti-Zionist, so I don't care for the Israel. I'm America first. I want America. I want AIPAC out of here. I want the ADL disbanded.
Absolutely.
I want the Federal Reserve completely investigated and probably death penalty for those people, what they've been doing. Because people, I don't have the book here. I had the book over there. I moved it somewhere else. You guys should look up, randomly speaking here, you guys should look up the Creature from Jekyll Island and you guys will see how evil bastards these people are. The Federal Reserve. It's next level. Absolute evil. So dude. I want these guys. What do you think? Go ahead.
I'm 100% with you, dude. Like, look, I think, obviously fuck Hamas. I mean, they're not good actors at all. But
they're literal also rapists. So I'm like, I just don't like rapists.
100%. But
I don't like rapists. Like what?
Fucking Benjamin Netanyahu funded Hamas for how many years to keep them afloat so Israel has an enemy to keep fighting? It's obviously just puppeteering on both sides here. And yeah, AIPAC needs to be abolished. Get the fuck out of here. ADL needs to be abolished. Get the fuck out of here. Israel has some at the very least, very coincidental 9/11 connections with the dancing Israelis and the art students. At the very least,
I want to touch on that just for a second. The dancing Israelis, right? That is one of the things. I just want to make people understand there's actually the dancing Muslims as well. People don't know this. Donald Trump got in trouble for this in 2016. You can look this up. Donald Trump got in trouble in 2016 when he brought up the dancing Muslims in Jersey City on rooftops. And the New York Times reporter who reported that then retracted the entire thing because it's Donald Trump, so he has to retract it. And I'm sorry, but I think it was the one that he acted as the one with the hands like this, the reporter that he mocked, that so-called mocked, the liberals thing he mocked. It was just acting flustered. Anyway, the point is, I think it was that reporter. I may be mistaken. The point is that Donald Trump brought this up and he got in trouble for it. And this is the actual thing. The New York Times did report on this, that dancing Muslims in Jersey City at the time. Now, to be sure, that doesn't mean that those Muslims had anything in common, had anything to do with it. They were just dancing because the fall of America. That thing. Dude, so these people hate us as well. Like, dude, these Zionists hate us. These Muslims hate us. Like, dude, can we have good, wholesome Americans representing our country? Dude, can we have that?
Exactly. Like, dude, as much as I know about the dancing Israelis, I'm not forgetting there's videos of Palestinians in Palestine just cheering and celebrating. So it's just so retarded when anybody takes a side in this at all. But I agree. We do give a lot of tax money to Israel compared to Palestine. But dude, fuck them both. Let them go at each other. I don't care.
Yeah, completely. And also, I would like to also mention about the Creature from Jekyll Island. You'll also see that when we talk about Israel, how much money we give them. I have huge news for you. If your concern is about Israel, you don't even know anything about this because we have given like hundreds of billions of dollars to Argentina, to Brazil, to other countries through the IMF. So, like, dude, for anybody who's talking about Israel and not talking about the other countries, they are absolutely retarded, because I understand that you're upset about Israel. Dude, we're spending so much more money in other countries. Like, it all has to stop. It literally all has to
I
stop.
agree.
So it's
100%.
this obsession with Israel. I find it weird and understandable. I'm like, dude, it's way worse than you think. But also, I
Yeah.
understand where you're coming from, because I want it to end as well. I want
Right,
AIPAC
right.
disbanded completely, if not investigated completely, because they are. I know certain Jews might not like this, because they're like, well, they're an American, they're not a foreign agent organization. I'm like, dude, if Chinese people came together here in the United States and they were not Chinese citizens, but they represented communist China, or capitalist China nowadays, it's crony capitalism. But anyway,
Right.
if they were to represent China nowadays, you would say, oh, that is a foreign agency, even though they're not Chinese citizens. We all know that the moment they get screwed, they just go to China and they become Chinese citizens. So, like, they're literally representing. It's like,
Right.
what are you doing?
Yeah, they're acting in the interest of a foreign nation, whether they live in America or not. And that's the problem. Like, they're not. Right. Right. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. I agree with you. It all needs to go. And dude, like, I'm not one to cry about anti-Semitism. I don't give a fuck, dude. Like, if anybody
Me
wants to come
neither.
up to me and do some shit, I'll fucking whatever. But um, if you really want anti-Semitism to stop, people who get offended at that, if you really want people to stop hating Jews, well, stop making excuses for shit like APAC and the ADL and the porn industry. Like, come out and say it's bullshit. Like, dude, I will say the
Yes.
Muslims do such a good job of saying when there's a terrorist attack, whatever, they're like, that's not a real Muslim. We disavow them. But when a lot of us Jews, not us, but a lot of us Jews, when we see like the porn industry, ADL, this and that, we're like, you're just being anti-Semitic for criticizing it. No, you're not. That's the reason why. You know what I mean?
Yeah, completely. So this is what pisses me off every single time. And by the way, just for the record, I would also like to state that when it comes to anti-Semitism, it doesn't mean somebody who hates a Jew. It means somebody a Jew hates. That's nowadays what anti-Semitism is. Oh, I don't like you. I'm a Jew. I don't like you. It's anti-Semitism. There we go. So it's
Right.
basically, you can't criticize me, because if you do, I will call you an anti-Semite. So
Right.
nowadays I just use the word Jew hater. Somebody who actually just hates Jews because they are Jewish. But yeah, those people are crying anti-Semites. I'm like, it's so freaking tiresome. Just stop it.
I know. I
You're
know.
irritating me. But I don't know if you want to get into this. You tell me. I'm sure that you've probably, as a Jew, you've gotten some quotes about the Talmud, the evilness of the Talmud, right?
Yeah.
So tell me about this. Tell me about this.
Bro, okay. So like I'm not even like that religious or anything like that, but I mean, look, if the quote, and I have no reason to believe it's not true, but if that quote about the raping a 3-year-old is true in the Talmud, that's fucked up. I mean, I don't got
Okay,
anything
so
to say.
I'll give you the context for that, though, because it's not true. I actually did. At first I was like, holy crap. First of all, it's 2,000 years ago, so you'll be like, yeah, of course they're gonna have some, maybe. First of all, it's
Sure.
a whole bunch of opinions. It's not like the actual law. It's just opinions by rabbis. So you might say, okay, this individual rabbi had some crazy shit to say, so you have some problems with that. But it doesn't even say that. So one is where they're talking about the ketubah. That is the marital contract. So in the marital contract, a virgin gets priority and gets more money if there's a divorce. So they're
Right.
talking about, in the case if a 3-year-old was raped, then she will still be considered a virgin when she gets married in order for her to get a higher dowry. That's basically what they're saying. So it's like, and then they say it's like poking the finger into the eye, so virginity grows back. Their point isn't to say that it's allowable, permissible, or if it's okay. They're saying this woman has suffered enough. This woman is entitled to a higher dowry. We're going to ignore the rape because this woman has suffered enough, and we're not going to hold it against her. That's basically all they're saying. And people are saying, "Oh my God, you're taking it completely you're raping it out of context." That's one thing. Then the other one,
I'd have to look at the full passage then because
yes.
send it to me. I mean,
I've looked into this because I was like, holy crap, I need to find out the truth. And I'm like, almost everything that they're saying is complete made up lies. Then they have one where a Jew may rape but not marry a Gentile. A Jew may violate but not marry a Gentile. That it's nowhere. I looked it up. All you'll find on Google is people wondering where you can find it. It doesn't exist. They say it is in Gad Shas. That's not a book in the Talmud, nor does that quote exist. Completely made up. Then you have the one. This is one of the most notorious ones, and it's actually, I understand why people don't get it, because the Talmud is a little esoteric. When it talks about the Jewish law, already assumes that you know something about it. So the problem is that if somebody doesn't know anything about Jewish law, then you're like, holy crap, I can't believe it's saying that. No, they're already assuming that you know about it, so you would know how to read it. So this is what it says. When it talks about the 3-year-old, sorry, a 9-year-old, that you may have sex with a 9-year-old, and it's not actually considered rape or anything like that. It's permissible. First of all, it doesn't say permissible, it doesn't say it's okay. What it does say, it uses 2 words, and this is very important. It uses active and passive. So we know a tractate earlier, they say that homosexuality deserves stoning. I think the punishment is stoning. So out of the blue, it completely tells you that homosexuality is punishable by death. That's what the Talmud says. Okay, for all the people saying the Jews are pushing a gay agenda by following the Talmud, dude, go back 1 tractate. It completely disproves everything that you're saying. It clearly states death penalty for homosexuality. Then it continues on to discuss the various forms of homosexuality or sexuality, bestiality. It goes into this and discusses the sins and punishments thereof. Then it gets to what if somebody has sex with a child? Then they discuss the year. So here's the thing, what it gets to. It gets to passive and active. So since the punishment for homosexuality is death, then that means the child would also be guilty of homosexuality. So they divide it in 2. Passive homosexuality or passive raping, or active. So active means that you're the initiator. You force yourself on the child. And passive is you allow yourself to be sodomized. So what it says there is that the person who is the initiator is not guilty of passive homosexuality or passive sodomy. Why? Because that would mean that the child is guilty of active. If you're guilty of one, then the opposite is guilty of the other one. So the child would be guilty of active. So what they're saying is the child is not guilty of active, the initiator is not guilty of passive, but it does not anywhere say that the other person is not guilty of active. They are making the case that the child does not deserve the death penalty because he's not guilty of active and the other person not guilty of passive. But clearly, it states there clearly that if you do have such a case, he's clearly guilty of active. Active sodomy gets punished by stoning. I think it's stoning. Anyway, so for those who are saying that it says that you can rape a child and you're not guilty. No, it says you're not guilty for passive, clearly, but it does not say you're not guilty of active, which they already assumed. Of course he's guilty of active because he's literally initiated himself on a child and he should be stoned to death, which I think it's a good idea. We should bring it back, or maybe it's firing squad. I don't care. One of the 2, we should bring it back. But that is what they're discussing. And I understand why people take it, are like, holy crap, I can't believe that's what it's saying.
Right.
I understand because it's esoteric. It's a little bit esoteric, and they are assuming that you know what you're going to read. So I don't blame anybody for misreading it, but I do blame people for not trying to understand. They're like, okay, that's what it says. Like, dude, it's 2,000 years ago. Marcus Aurelius also raped boys. Like, dude, when you're talking about 2,000 years ago, you're gonna have to try to find the correct translation because a lot of things get lost in translation. A lot of things are we're much more politically correct. The rabbis, they were not politically correct at all. They said what they had to say. So again, I understand why people are upset about this, and I understand why people have a hard time with this. But I want to make this very clear that in the Talmud itself, it says that you shall not marry off your child when they're a minor. That's what the Talmud says in another tract. I can't remember where it says that, but it clearly states you shall not marry off your child when they're a minor, and 18 is the best year to marry off your child. In Hebrew, it says, Moina Esra Lechipa, which means at 18 you shall send them under the wedding canopy. That's basically, it's literally, that's all it says. So I understand why people get very upset, but here's the thing, and I would like to get your reaction to this. We're coming up to the end here, so I would like to get your reaction to this because those people are saying, okay, they follow the Talmud, and therefore it's so evil, and they don't really understand the Talmud. Jesus himself also followed the Talmud to one extent till he rejected it. There's so much that I would like to discuss at a different time on my own terms. But here's the thing: do you think that for those who are saying that the Talmud is what the Jews are so evil? Okay. Have you ever seen a picture with George Soros in the Talmud?
No, definitely not.
Have you ever seen Larry Fink in the Talmud? Have you ever seen any of these bastards with the Talmud? Never. You never see that because they don't freaking follow the Talmud. Jeffrey Epstein didn't follow the Talmud. He's a bastard that doesn't even follow any of the Judaism. So, and he'll definitely use his Judaism as, oh, you're being anti-Semitic. He'll definitely use that the moment it's convenient for him as a shield. But this guy never followed the Talmud. So there's no connection. They hated the Talmud. The Talmud is anti-Zionist, by the way. There's like so many things I like. Dude, it doesn't bother me that you don't like the Talmud. It bothers me that you are being retarded going after something that is just a distraction. You're gonna have to go after these bastards. Don't go after the Talmud. These are for religious Jews. They are not bad people. They do their own thing. They don't bother anybody except for the tunnels. We're gonna have to look into that. But more than that, I'm like, just leave these guys alone. They're not hurting anybody. You know who the bastards are? What's his name? George Soros, which, by the way, it would have been better if he died in the Holocaust. And yes, it is better. Yes, ADL, come after me. It would have been better if George Soros would have died in the Holocaust. And absolutely. Yes, he's a Nazi. Anyway, he's a Nazi collaborator. There's so much subject matter. So tell me about this. The Talmud thing. What is it? Do you think I basically nailed it down? It's just a distraction. It's retarded going after it.
Well, I mean, if that's the case with all that stuff being taken out of context, and if the full context is, somebody who got molested when they were 3 years old should be considered a virgin, then yeah, I mean, that's definitely out of context and that makes sense. But I do definitely send me that stuff because all I've heard is the opposite of that, basically saying it's okay to rape a 3-year-old, and I sure hope it doesn't say that. Yeah, I sure hope it doesn't say that.
In the Jewish community, if you do something like that, you'd be stoned to death. And I'm not even making a joke. It's not like I'm saying, oh, I'm being hyperbole right now. I'm not being hyperbole. That is what's going to happen to you. And the investigations of the FBI and CIA or whatever you have, any police department, that'll happen later, if it happens at all, because the Jewish community mostly takes care of their own problems, and such a person, I don't think they would live to see the light of day. They wouldn't be given over to the authorities. They would be dealt with in the most harshest way. They would die. I promise you that.
So what do you think it is then? Because, whether they're using the Talmud or not, which, yeah, you're right, I haven't seen George Soros the Talmud, but why do you think so many of us Jews are like in this place where we are like, oh, the head of the LGBTQ whatever, oh, is a Jew, oh, the head of obviously the ADL is a Jew, George Soros, Hollywood, like why do you think there's just so much Jewish representation with fucked up shit? Like why do you think that is?
I love that question, and this is the reason, because Jews are, of course, I know they're going to say, no, it's not true. Jews normally have a higher IQ, so they will, especially Ashkenazi Jews, so they embed themselves in these high places of power. So with power comes the abuse of power. So I'm like, when these people say, oh, it's the Jews, I'm like, you retard, if you're going to put in another secularist to maybe a Christian or a Muslim or whatever, you think this shit is not going to happen? You are retarded. It has nothing to do with ethnicity, it has everything to do with a position. These bastards will always weaponize the places of power in order to facilitate whatever they want to do. So that's the first thing. That's the first reason. So while you have these people in LGBTQ, whatever, you just might call them cigarettes. You know what? I like it because it's more artistic and it's funnier. So the reason why you would have these Jews in these positions is because the Jews, or these so-called Jews, they realize that the power lies within liberalism, because that is what we live under right now. So they're like, we are a lot of them are Satanists, a lot of them are of this variety, and they don't even mind. They're like, yeah, hell yeah, let's go with a liberalistic worldview. They're atheistic. They hate God. They're not only atheistic, they're anti-theist. They hate God. So they're like, okay, so we are in positions of power. We are within the apparatus, and we also hate God. So we ally ourselves with these crazies, and then they embed themselves. And then what you get is a lot of representation, a disproportionate amount of representation from highly successful, good work ethic. Jews have a very good work ethic, especially because, Christians did kick out Jews from everywhere. And therefore, what you have is, when Jews are kicked out of every Christian country, more or less, what you have is that, and they're not allowed to own land, is that you're going to have to develop a job that you can take with you when you go to the new country. So farmland, you can't take that with you, so they're not going to go into farmland. But what you're going to do is become a doctor, you're going to become a lawyer, you're going to become a banker, because those skills you can take with you wherever you go, right? So this is, for those retards who are saying, oh, Jews are so evil because they are bankers, all these things. Yeah, but they're also doctors. Why is that? It's because it has nothing to do with being a banker or that. It has to do with jobs that you could take with you. So what Jews did in those days, they learned things that they could take, skills that they could take with them. And there's children also did basically more or less the same job that their father did. So now you have a bunch of Jews as bakers. Why? Because their father and mother, whatever, they were in these positions. So they just, by legacy, they just continued on whatever their father was doing. That's why you have a lot of Jews in positions of power, because it traces back to, they developed skills early on and then they taught it to their children. So what you have in the older days, by the way, more patriotic Jews. Nowadays you have a lot of, crazy leftist, absolute, a lot of them are pedophiles as well, because it's the position of power that we have allowed them to abuse over and over again. You put a Christian in there that is not adherent to Jesus or is not following God's commandments, you'll have the same outcome. And then you'll be wondering, wait, I thought all our problems would go away. It doesn't go away. And by the way, also for the record, Hitler was also kind of a pedophile himself. He really liked his niece. So for those who really like Hitler, you should look up. He had something for his niece and caused her to commit suicide. Yeah. That actually happened. So for the retards out there, I'm like, dude, on your side, you also have the same creeps. What we need to do is make these things transparent. We need more people like you going after them.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Damn, okay. Well, you dropped a lot of knowledge bombs that I didn't even know.
I had to. Listen, dude, I had to go into this because I was like, this is not good. This is not good. I hate this. I hate this. I hate these people. I want these people to suffer a tremendous amount of consequences for their actions. I hate this, and I hate being associated with these bastards.
Agreed.
So I'm like, I had to look into this. Then I found out, wait a minute. So what you're telling me is Jesus was a Talmudist Jew. He came to fulfill the law. He was a Pharisee. Jesus was a Pharisee. I know you guys are like, well, what do you mean he's a Pharisee? He was arguing with the Pharisees. What do you think he was arguing about? He was arguing about Talmudic law. That's what he was arguing about. And he was calling them hypocrites because of the Talmudic law. So he wasn't arguing with the Sadducees. The Sadducees, they rejected Talmudic law. The golden standard of Judaism was to be a Pharisee. Paul himself said that he's a Pharisee of Pharisees because the gold standard was being a Pharisee. Jesus was a Pharisee. He rejected them because he called them hypocrites. That's like, there's so much knowledge that you could find out about this. If you just look back at the history and see what Jesus actually was about, you see that actually Orthodox Judaism and Christianity has a fundamental disagreement just at the ritual law, at the Talmudic law. That's the main disagreement. If it's necessary or unnecessary, if the ritual law is necessary or not. That's basically more, and the second one is Jesus God, or is he not God? And I'm like, if he is God, then Jews deserve to know that he is. And if he isn't God, then Christians deserve that he isn't. That's basically where I'm coming from. Like, we should have more of these kinds of discussions on the religious front. But this alienation, the Jews are so evil, the synagogue of Satan. I'll tell you who the synagogue of Satan is. It's those Jews who claim to be Jews, but they don't actually adhere to it. In Revelation, they talk about the synagogue of Satan, and they're trying to say that they say that there will be a group of Jews that they call themselves Jews, but they're actually the synagogue of Satan. They're not real Jews. By that, you have to then know that there will be Jews that are actually Jews, right? If you have the Jews or not, then there has to be Jews that they actually are.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, definitely.
It's just you have to make the Revelation tells you that there is a distinction. If there is a distinction, then there has to be the opposite. So who are the Jews who are actually Jews? Well, they are Orthodox. The Orthodox Jews are the ones who still adhere to God's law. And you might say that it's unnecessary. They don't know what they're doing. They should follow Jesus. Fine, we can have that discussion, but you want to know who the true synagogue of Satan is? It's George Soros and Alex Soros, Larry Fink. I don't know if he's a Jew or whatever. It's those types of guys. Go after those guys. Get them. I wish we could get them. And I hate these bastards with a passion of 1,000 burning suns.
Yeah, we'd be the first to do it too if we had the opportunity. So I mean,
Like, how about this? Let me ask you a question. You as a Jew, let's say you find out that George Soros has child porn, which probably he does, but we haven't yet found out. But let's say you find out, you have the evidence, you have everything. Will you say, no, he's a Jew. I can't actually go after him because he's a Jew. I don't really want to go after him. Would you go after him?
Oh, it would make me want to go after him even more. Like 100%. Like dude, it would make me like it would say, look, I mean, I know I'm not associated with him, but in some way or another, I am associated with that. So, I mean, yeah, it would make me hate it even more. Like 100%. Like we had a guy that we caught in Suffern last year in July of 2023. His name was the most stereotypical name ever. Like, yeah. Shlomo Goldberg or something. Like, yeah, you couldn't even it couldn't be a more made up Jew name, but it was like obvious that was his name. And dude, like the first thing he says the first thing he says, like when I'm like, "Hey man, what are you here to meet this 12-year-old and her mom for?" He's like, "Oh, I was here to just do a business deal with them." I'm like, "Dude, you couldn't get more Jewish than that." Like he gave all these Jewish excuses, and I'm like, "Dude," but that like pissed me off because I'm like, "God damn, man! I mean, this is." Besides him wanting to rape a kid, it's like, dude, he's just saying all like the stereotypical Jewish shit to excuse it too. I'm like, dude, stop that stuff.
Yeah. And by the way, next time you're in New York, you let me know. I would love just to shake your hand, just because
Dude,
I
absolutely.
admire what you do. I love what you do.
Thank you.
This is a job that more people. And before we end, we're now coming up to the end. I would like to know just one more thing. What do you have any other people that 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 you can talk about? If it's people you can't talk about, then don't. But you have any more other people who are out there who are doing the same kind of work as you, that you coordinate with, and anything that anybody could get involved with?
Well, I would say that there's a lot of groups that do what we do, and a lot of them do a pretty damn good job at it. I'd say Bikers Against Predators are on Facebook. They also go nationwide. Not as much as we do, but they go nationwide too. They do a great job. CC Unit in California does a good job. And PvP in California also does a good job. PCI in Indiana does a good job. So, yeah, there's a lot of teams doing good out there. And, we can't, no one person or entity can be the one to stop it all. So it takes everybody.
That's good. That's good to know. So if anybody knows who those people are, you should, if you want to get involved, go to, and you live in those states, you want to get involved, just make sure that you're not Indian. Just kidding. I'm kidding. But
Yeah,
just
no
make sure
shit.
just make sure if you're Indian and you are one of the good guys, then you're welcome. But if you want to get involved, you can reach out to those guys. And for people who want to, do you like need people on your team or anything like that? Is it like an open thing that people want to,
Oh,
let's say you want to have somebody who wants to train themselves in this, and they want to, like tag along and know how to do this. Is anybody welcome to tag along?
I'm very specific with that. Like, there's somebody that does tag along with me. I don't know if you know Alex Strenger at all. I don't know if you've seen him around Twitter,
No.
but he's also a fellow tribes member, one of us, and I'm kind of grooming him to be able to do this on his own. So yeah, but I'd have to really really know the person because it takes a lot of trust and liability
Yes.
with this type of stuff. So yeah,
Yes.
it's kind of closed off with that, I'd say.
Okay, but you know what I think? You know what I think, man? I think that what you should do is start a little bit of a series, like 5 minute videos, maybe do like 10 or so of these videos to give for people who actually do want to start out this kind of thing. You should give them like pointers on, okay, this is what you do in such a case. And I mean, whatever secrets you need to keep in order to get the crazies, you do. But if there are any pointers that you could give for people who want to get involved that are not really secrets and just things to help them, you can give them advice, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think you should really do that. Anyway, so we have come up to the end of the episode. I want for people to know where they can find you, where they could reach you, all that other stuff, where they can follow and defend you against the war on India. They will become veterans of the Great
We're
Indian War.
absolutely, yes. If anybody wants to ride along in our fight against the street shitters, please join up. I would say just bring a gas mask and bring lots of changes of clothes because they will get dirty. But yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. I fight for kids. IFIGHTFORKIDS, or Rumble Predator Poachers, PREDATOR space POACHERS. And I appreciate you having me on.
Awesome. So for those who want to reach out to me, you can out to me. You can reach out to me at AaronPolitidoxy on Twitter. You can reach out to me on Instagram at Aaron Friedman. You can also email me at politidoxy@gmail.com. Thank you everybody for listening. Leave five stars, like, share, subscribe, do all the things. Everybody knows exactly. Whatever platform you're on, do whatever you have to do. And remember, my fellow radicals, stay political.